I was wondering why the chat was so quiet. Forgot to hit the go live button again. Sorry about that. My apologies. Thank you, Mahi Mahi, for giving me a reminder there. Appreciate that. So we got an interesting little situation happen here where the NQ is clearly in an uptrend versus the ES was clearly in a downtrend. So there was a big divergence between the two. Found a setup on the ES to take a short here off the value area high, sitting right here. Did not take it because we did break structure here to the downside. But this was all looking like a short setup on the ES versus the NQ gave us a setup to go long. And I said I would not take this setup here to go long because of the fact that the ES looked like it was still pretty heavy. I think that ended up, well, we'll see how this plays out here. But yeah, pretty big divergence here between the NQ and the ES early this morning. I'm going to map this one out here. Again, not taking this, but this would have been your entry right here at the value area low. Yeah, it was a little... a little confusing there. And I'm sorry, YouTube, you guys missed my entire morning analysis on the NQ, ES, and the GC. If I get a little bit of time here, I'll show it once again. All right, so that was a great non-trade here on the NQ. It's a good one to spot there where the ES was clearly in a downtrend. So now we'll take a look and see if we can find any short opportunities there. And again, here, good learning example. You've got 1, 2, 3. So even if this was to close as a red bar here, which doesn't look like it's going to, but if it would have closed as a red bar here, this still would not have been a 3-leg setup yet. I would have wanted to see one more box show us momentum to the downside. This right here was a retracement way back into almost into the top of this box here. So you can almost consider this to be like your first momentum, second momentum to the downside if this would have closed down here, which it didn't. But just to kind of give you guys an example there. And then we'll switch back to the NQ here. And we've already seen one pattern, which is our ugly pattern, right? This, okay? We've already seen this now happen already once. We were lucky in this scenario that I was able to spot the divergence between the ES and the NQ. But you got to keep cognizant of that pattern, because if that pattern starts to show itself several times throughout the morning, that's a great indication to stay out of that scenario. Where did there it is. And we can put it right before the... All right, so on this setup, again, we got 1, 2, 3 down. We got our retracement bar up. So we put our fixed volume profile tool. We see, you get your natural entries. So we can't take a short from the value area low because that closed, this footprint closed above that. So our next area to short would be at the point of control, which is where my order is currently sitting at. And then you've got a few options. Obviously, this is going to be your stop loss. So this is our risk on this trade. You have a conservative target, which is a less than 1-to-1 risk to reward back to the value area low. What I've done is I have actually just placed my order right at the key level that we've got sitting here at the 28,712. No reason to be targeting the break of structure down here when it's essentially like 3 points off, just in case that you get, a tap and go. Might as well be out of that position. And you know, even a little bit more conservative if you want, you know, closer to 1-to-1 or a little bit better than 1-to-1. In this area right here is a great little profit zone also to take profit at. So risk here right now looks like risking 25 points, and I believe that says 45 points there on my TP. Yeah, 45 points. So let's see if we get an entry here or not. So my prediction this morning for the IB, for the initial IB first hour, is 140 points on the NQ, which is pretty tight. Let's see if that, how close we are to that number. Morning, Tiger. Yes, actually, I do. It's funny you say that. All right, so we're in this trade here. Again, right now, TP's at 45 points, sitting at the 28,712 with the stop at the 28,782. Again, this would be break of structure right up here. So if it stops us out on this trade, we're obviously wrong, but then what we can obviously take a look at is we can take a look at this next leg then that goes to the upside. And this would be the second pattern that I don't like to see in the market play out back to back. So that'll be something that, you know, will kind of give us a little bit of pause here on the market, kind of see, let the market shake out here a little bit. Okay, came a few points there from our stop. Looks like the buyers are still... All right, knocked out of that trade right there. That was kind of ugly. So now we've got to be really cautious here now in the markets, because now that's two setups right there in a row that gave us that really ugly pattern that I try to describe to you guys. It's the one pattern that really is a destroyer. It's really a destroyer for almost any strategy, but it looks exactly like that. So if it continues to do that type of movement, that is a very, very nasty day to trade. But again, we keep getting, you know, obviously this one didn't work out like how we wanted it to, but we keep taking these setups that keep providing you, you know, a 25-point stop with a 45-point TP. Actually, what I consider to be a pretty nice setup. Obviously, we are in a market pattern right now that I don't like to see. So we want to make sure that this trend here doesn't continue and doesn't do this all day. Because if it does this all day, this is a very, very, very tough pattern in the market to trade. Really, to trade any strategy is going to have a really hard time there. All right, so let's see if we could take a little long here on the ES. This looks pretty good. All right, value area high. I like that. Stop sitting right where it's at. Why it did not trigger me? That was weird. Seemed like it was resting right there. All right, right back to the point of control there, which we rejected off of. Let's see if we could push through it here. All right, took that one there at 4 points. Nice trade there. So on the NQ setup here that formed, just kind of want to give you guys an example here. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Decent setup. Would have liked to see a little bit more momentum on this secondary range bar right here. We did not get it. So if we obviously incorporate the fixed volume profile tool on here, what are we presented with? So we've got one real entry area, which is at the point of control sitting down here. Okay, love it. Great risk to reward scenario right here. But what do we've got sitting? We've got a key level sitting here at the 28,719, which is sitting really close to where our stop loss was at. So this would be a setup here that I would not like, even though I always say that if the risk to reward is extremely good, and there is obviously, you know, an issue with the setup, meaning that it goes to like a B setup where you might have 6 up bars instead of, you know, your kind of 3 to 5 that we're looking for. You know, that I will only take in a scenario of really nice risk to reward. This one here is great. It's a great risk to reward, but this key level is a magnet, so you've got to be extremely careful right there. This is a setup that even though the risk to reward looks really, really good, you've got a pretty high likelihood of maybe just stopping and then going, but still taking you out of this trade right there for a loss of, I mean, only 22 points or 21 points, but sorry. Let's get our trade result here. And the NQ, we don't really even need to think about it anymore because we just broke structure up here, so this is currently invalid as well. Same thing here on this ES now. The ES setup here, very dangerous in case this was to close red on us. Even though it's sitting a little bit above our stop here. Could give us some support right there as well. Well, we'll see what this keeps looking like. Morgan, currently the NQ's got slightly higher win rate. Just slightly. But be honest with you, I've taken more NQ trades. And Key's asking, Rob, didn't you have a signal at the 28,800? A signal at the 28,800. I don't necessarily know what you're talking about on the... Oh, you mean a key level? That's just a key level for me. That's not a signal. You guys are confusing me. %64. Into the key area, yes, but not if a key area is sitting at my stop, no. So again, this one's really tricky because you've got your entry here at the value area low sitting right here at the 73.90. You've got a key level sitting at the 73.86, so this could be your area of defense right here. But our stop's sitting right here. So our difference between here is about a point and a half. Could be kind of tight. Looks like there's some kind of news there. Let's see what's going on in the world. So Fed hammock, Fed signal on next move being a cut is misleading. Cutting interest rates beyond justified level will boost inflation. See what this one looks like here. Slightly negative risk to reward here. I really no other way to fix it either. Value area high. All right. So I'm going to leave my TP up here. So again, taking a long at the value area low. Again, safe. I will be looking around this POC area here. Again, if we see a rejection on the POC, this could be somewhere where either you go break even or you take some profit here, which is about 30 points. Value area low gives you a pretty nice risk to reward at 48 points. Again, just trying to continue on this trend to the upside here. Nate, good morning. Yeah, Key, as long as, or Morgan, or Key, I'm sorry. As long as this key level isn't sitting here or right here. Okay, so I mean, this it's going to hopefully give me some support from as a key level here as well. And we're, what, six or 7 points away from here, 7 points. So I don't mind that as an area of defense. What I don't want to see is I don't want to see it sitting anywhere near my stops on any setup that I take. No key level there. Vice versa, if we were in a seller unbalanced volume area sitting up here, I would not be longing into that unbalanced volume area, which we're currently not, so we don't have to worry about that. All right, break a structure there. We'll keep on looking. All right, so what do we see? Do we see any issues here? So we do have our 1, 2, 3 up. Do we really get any momentum here on this base bar? No, this kind of retraced down. I do really like this momentum up here, but just letting you know that this already starts to kind of smell like a beast setup here. And again, if it's a beast setup and you've got a really nice risk to reward play, that would be something that we'll take a look at. Where here you can do a very simple scalp from point of control to the value area high. Stop controlled here at the 24. So 19 points of risk to try to make 26. I'm okay with the beast setup as we have a really nice risk to reward on this trade. And the only reason why this is a beast setup is that we did not get the momentum off the base of this move right here. I do like this momentum candle right here. Still tried to push a little bit higher. Excuse me. Morning, J Love. All right, so IB is set at the 28,902. Bottom side is the 28,708. Oh man, I was way off on the... I was 60 points off on my initial balance idea. Looks like we might be revisiting here. IB high. Oh boy. Shoot. I'm watching that 60 very closely. I'm gonna take a short there. Switch over here to the 60. Bring my stop down right to here. Let's see if we get a push. Let's bring this guy up to 15 points. Oh, I definitely seen some hesitation here. We need one push here, one little strong little push. Hey, I'll explain it once we get out of this trade here. Kind of struggling with this one here. Yeah, it seems like every push the sellers make just gets eaten up by buyers pretty quickly. Looks like we're gonna get knocked out. All right, we got really close on that one, but close doesn't pay the bills, unfortunately. I think at best 12 points. 11 points. So 4 points short there of target. A little unfortunate. Got a question from AU Freer. What I'm looking at is I'm looking at my range charts here, my range footprint charts. And we've got, so this is the initial balance right here of the market, first 60 minutes of trading. What I'm looking for is a flip where I get a red footprint candle like you see here with positive delta, which to me tells me that as much as buyers were trying to get this market moving forward, which in the end they did, this was still able to close as a red footprint candle. So the sellers were still able to take control. So that is my trigger for a short in that scenario off of this key level of the initial balance. Typically target 15 points, sometimes target 20 points. I did see unbalanced volume sitting right here. So I think my 20 pointer, that was pretty close to where my 15 points was going to be at. But again, a few points short there. So that kind of stunk. But good setup. I mean, this is A+. This is an A+ trade for me. And you guys saw me move from the 30 to the 60. I said watch the 60 because the only flip that we got on the 30 came way above the initial balance. If I see a 30 flip down here at the initial balance, which we did not get, which is why I was switched to the 60, which is a little bit bigger of a range, 15 points. This one gave us the signal, and that's where I took it off of, right off that 60 range right there, which I got a pretty damn good entry on. We did get another flip right here. This would hurt if this one is the one that takes us out. I like that selling pressure right there. Yep, that would have taken our 15 points right there of TP. So a little unfortunate. Market just needed to rebalance this top right here, and then that was the move, and another flip right here. So a bit unfortunate with that trade. And I'm not gonna lie, I was few seconds away from hitting the short button right there on that second flip, but buyers have been pretty strong most of the morning. Yep. And now you can see the flip too on the 120, which is even the strongest range bar that we have. So they flipped on, well, they flipped on the 60 twice and the 120. So really good signals and setups here for a short. We were just a little, I don't know, what is that? Our stop was right there. Point, maybe a point and a half. is what we needed on that trade. The funny thing is I was set to a 20-point ATM, so my stop was sitting, I would say, right at the 20s. So that first ATM that I got, but since this was a pretty strong flip, my rules always put stop loss at the top of my flip. Target 15 to 20 points from that point, but that one hurt a little. So Morgan's talking about the 30. This you got to be very, very careful with. If you take this signal here, it's the riskiest one you could take, to be perfectly honest with you, because you see the separation here that we've got between the IB and the initial balance. So, you know, this could very easily come retest. We could get a flip in the other direction, which would then trigger me long, to be honest with you. Or maybe at least wait for maybe a 60 range to trigger you long to get a little bit more confirmation. But you got to be, it's obviously super aggressive. And yes, here from here at this point, you would have gotten your 15 points maybe right on the button. I think from here to where my entry was, which was right there, is probably, yeah, it's about 6 points. So you would have gotten your 15 points off of this flip right here. But again, this is your riskiest entry. If this flip happens here, awesome. I mean, that's a great, those are your best risk to rewards, because now your stop's 7 points. You're targeting 15 or 20. So you got to be super careful with the 30 if it's not closing below that initial balance. Again, we came 4 points short. Came about 1.5 points short on our stop. So I mean, overall, it was a pretty unfortunate trade, but that is the part of trading. For every one of these trades, you'll obviously get one where your stop gets missed by a tick and you go to TP, or you make a slight adjustment, it hits. It's all a part of trading. It's all, you got to build it into your edge and take the unfortunate trades with the fortunate ones. We do have Cash Profit Friday tomorrow, so 5% of my total session profits will be given away at 10:45 tomorrow, 10:45 Central Time. So just make sure to come in and type in the keyword on the chat, and we'll take care of the rest. Hopefully tomorrow could be a 3K day. Would be nice. Somebody $150. Grant, yeah, you can. You can have maybe a little bit of an offset on your stop. I don't think the offset, yeah, 2-point offset. You never know. You might have even gotten filled. I think it was 7 ticks above our stop. My issue with that is, and this is kind of a psychological issue, is where does it stop? You know, where does it end? The second you start using offsets, you might as well just have a rule in place for your stops. And if you don't have a rule in place for your stops, that makes sense. I'm using volume for my stop loss. Really on every trade, on the AVT, the ES, the NQ, the initial balance, my flips, everything is using volume. So if it makes sense with volume, you know, I'm weary of increasing, but a point, you know, that's not going to kill your risk to reward, and it'll avoid those equal highs, the equal high situation. AP on my scalping, yes. Not on my analysis, though. But on my scalping, absolutely. It's those three bars is what I... So, and that's on the NQ. So the NQ is a 30 range. Is a 30 range chart. This is like my, let's call it like super hyper scalping. 60 range, which again is 15 points. And then my third is my 120 range bar, which is what I trade my AVT setup on. And here's a great example, guys. You know, like we are in a pretty high volatility market. You know, on days where you see ATR start to shrink and you start to see the daily range start to shrink. We were in a period less than, well, a little bit more than like 4 weeks ago, where for 2 months we were kind of just like in this side range where we really weren't getting much movement. In scenarios like that where you see the ATR dipping and you're seeing the daily range of the markets also start to dip, you don't have to be stuck on the 120 range. You could do the exact same AVT strategy on the 60 range, okay? And just like how you've got setups here, you've got setups here. Now, I wouldn't be using the 60 range in the environment that we're in right now because these are too micro of a trend. This is very, you know, if you like to scalp a lot, great, because your position, your risk and TPs are going to be smaller, but you can always make the move to a lower range to account for volatility that might be shortening up. And on the ES, I run the AVT off of the 12 range, but my ES is, I've got a 4 range, which is what I used to use a lot for my scalping. So I use the 4, the 12, and then the 30 is like I would consider that to be like my 120 range on the NQ. So it's like the bigger, it's a little too big for AVT, but again, on super range days, if you take a look at the 30 range, you'll see some really nice trades as well. But the sweet spot for the current market volatility is 12 on the ES and 120 for the NQ. Gives us that sweet spot of like 30 to 45 points, which, you know, is my typical 120, my typical 120 range scalp is 30 points of stop anyway. So, I mean, it's really within my, and I've positioned size down. So I'm on 1 contract. And the only reason why I do 1, I would love to take everything with 2, because that would just make my progress move so much more quicker. But as you guys can see, there's situations like this is a good example of one where, you know, I could have probably, maybe if the first trade, would have been, if I would have been green in the day, going into this setup that we were looking at, could have got maybe a little bit more aggressive, because yeah, you could take one position right here at the value area high, okay, which is a valid setup for us because it closed, this closed above it. So this could be one position, okay? Now on this position, you would have taken TP. So you wouldn't have missed this. You wouldn't have missed this leg here, like how we missed it, because we were sitting down here. But I could take one position here. I could take my second position here. We balance out a price. We balance out our entry, or I should say our position. Sitting right here, we're still in a positive risk to reward. You get a really nice trade with good position size as well. So that's really the only reason why I start off with one contract is on the ES. You've seen me do it many times on the ES where, you know, we might get point of control and value area low sitting kind of close to each other. It gives me a good opportunity to take a scalp with two position sizes on those. But you also got to be willing to take the heat as well. Let's just see what this looks like right here. I think it's going to be negative risk to reward. 5.5 points, so we do need to target value area high here at 6. I'll switch back to the ES. I'm just kind of curious here about this NQ on this retest here of the IB. That's where the ES sits at currently. I'm going to take a little stab long here. Again, just another footprint confirmation there. 10 points of risk. Let's see if we can get a little continuation play. Let's take a look at the ES. This is still kind of sitting above the right at the point of control. All right, I tried the retest there, and that one did not work out. And here we go. Oof. That'd be hard not to take right here with this much delta. Okay, we didn't get it. A nice little sweep there. All right. Give it a shot there. is looking heavier. I'd like to see the NQ show some strength here. It's definitely in like a melting pattern here. We'll see here. Yeah, NQ's melting right now. And it's not really finding any support. Well, it just got into some unbalanced volumes. Let's see if that provides a little piece of support there on the NQ. All right, reduce risk to about 4 points there on the ES. Off that flip. Come on, buyers. Well, 2 points in profit there. And we can struggle right around here. Let's see if these buyers here show up once again. If not, we're going to be cooked right here. I mean, look at the delta. That's crazy. The sellers are literally throwing everything in the kitchen sink to get this market down. I don't know. What do you think? Think buyers are out of gas here? They are fighting. I mean, the sellers are putting up a fight like I've never seen before. This is a lot of delta on this particular bar right here. And again, if they flip this bar, I could reduce my risk by probably a point, which would be great. Maybe not a point. Yeah, that's probably pretty close to a point. Maybe half a point. This seems like fair value right here. Seems like my entry is right at fair value. They are pushing. Let's see if the buyers can step back in here or not. I already reduced risk here by about 2 points, so if they take me out, so be it. We've been in solid drawdown for about 10 minutes. We were in green and positive for about 5 minutes of this trade. And the rest of it's been in drawdown. And you can clearly see here the negative delta. So they're trying very, very hard to get this market to push down. Sorry about that. Morning, Bartlett Racing. Rough day of trading so far. All right. Well, we were in that one. We were in the fight for a while. All right, 1300. I'm going to call it a day, guys. We'll be back tomorrow, Cash Profit Friday. Hopefully we got a better trading day tomorrow than it was here today. Felt like it could have been a little better today, too. A little point here or there made a huge difference today, unfortunately. All right, guys. I will see you guys mañana. Take care, everybody.